The jungle was older than the bones of the earth itself, and it watched in silence as fire fell from the sky. Silver ships pierced the clouds, splitting the canopy with thunder and flame. To the Galactic Dominion, it was a standard conquest, another world, another subjugation. They had come for resources, biomass, and obedience. Humanity, they believed, would fold as easily as every other primitive species they'd absorbed. General Kareth of the Dominion stood upon the steaming soil, surrounded by metallic forms that pulsed with cold light. He looked over the verdant expanse with disdain. Organic chaos, he muttered through his respirator. A planet refusing order. His lieutenant, a spindly creature with mirrored eyes, clicked in agreement. Primitive natives scattered. They fight with combustion weapons. We'll pacify them by dawn. Their arrogance was almost ritual. Domination was all they knew. Far beyond the clearing, unseen and unheard, human eyes watched. Major Elara Vance lay prone beneath a woven mat of moss and vine, her breathing slow, her rifle's barrel wrapped in leaves. Through the scope, she studied the alien encampment, noting heat signatures, drone paths, and the odd shimmer of energy shields. Her team, 9 soldiers from 9 different nations, waited among the roots and ferns, each heartbeat measured against the sound of rain. Visual confirmed, whispered Sergeant Lou from her right flank. They're setting up calm towers, triangular formation. Classic forward post. Elara nodded slightly, though Lou couldn't see her. They think we're hiding, she murmured, mostly to herself. Her tone carried neither fear nor bravado, just quiet calculation. The first invasion waves had struck every major city, but the jungles remained unconquered. The Dominion's plasma rifles overheated in the humidity. Their scanners shorted from spores and mist. Their drones crashed into tangled canopies. To the invaders, this was primitive inconvenience. To the humans who had grown up in it, it was sanctuary and weapon both. Elara adjusted her headset to the lowest frequency. "Command won't reach us out here," she said softly to her squad. "From this point, we're our own chain of command. Rules of engagement: disrupt, delay, destroy." "Copy," replied Captain Amani, her demolitions expert. "We'll make it hurt." The forest thickened around them like a closing fist. Ferns brushed against their legs, and the air tasted of sap and metal. Every movement was deliberate. Every sound risked exposure. Yet beneath the oppressive heat, something fierce burned within them, an instinct that the Dominion could neither quantify nor suppress. When the first alien patrol came through, it moved in mechanical precision, 4 soldiers and a drone. Their armor shimmered with adaptive camouflage, their rifles whispering static. They scanned the forest with cold indifference, unaware that the jungle had already turned against them. A low rustle, then silence. One alien stopped, optics narrowing. The drone rose slightly, scanning infrared. Nothing, just wet leaves and the chatter of insects. The soldier turned back to formation. A soft click broke the quiet. The drone's light flickered once, then died. The squad looked up just in time to see a shadow drop from the canopy. A knife flashed. A throat opened with no sound. Another figure emerged from the foliage, firing a suppressed round into an alien's visor. 2 seconds, and the patrol was gone, absorbed into the green. Elara's voice came through the calm. "Pack the bodies. Strip tech. Leave no trace." By the time the next Dominion patrol found the site, it was nothing but churned mud and bloodless soil. Night fell, and with it came rain. The downpour cloaked the forest in mist and rhythm. The humans set up a small perimeter beneath an ancient tree, their equipment waterproofed and muted. They moved with practiced quiet, each gesture communicating what words could not. Amani sat cleaning her rifle, glancing toward Elara. "You think they know what they're walking into?" Elara shook her head. "They think we're animals fighting extinction. They haven't realized we've been adapting to extinction since the day we learned to light fire." "Kind of poetic," Imani said. "Not poetry," Elara replied. "Evolution." The comm crackled faintly. Static, then a distorted human voice. "Elite units. Unknown signal interference. Dominion regrouping. Jungle sectors restricted, then silence again. Lu exhaled. They're scared enough to call it restricted. Maybe we're making an impression. Elara allowed herself a rare, thin smile. Fear's a start. Survival's next. Above them, strange lights pulsed through the canopy. Scouting drones searching, failing, retreating. The jungle swallowed every beam. Somewhere, a jaguar growled, its voice a rumble older than language. The rain kept falling. At dawn, the Dominion broadcast a message across open frequencies. A metallic voice spoke in the common galactic tongue, translated automatically into human speech. To the remaining resistance forces, surrender. The Galactic Dominion offers mercy to compliant species. Continued defiance will result in annihilation. Elara listened in silence, letting the words hang. Around her, her soldiers exchanged looks, half amusement, half fury. Mercy, Imani scoffed. They torch villages and call it mercy. Elara turned off the receiver. They mistake silence for surrender. She rose to her feet, blending almost seamlessly with the forest. They don't understand that silence is how predators move. Her squad followed, faces streaked with camouflage and rain. They melted into the undergrowth once more, rifles ready, hearts steady. The jungle welcomed them back like kin. As the sun broke through the mist, beams of gold cut across the emerald canopy, catching on the glint of a scope, the curve of a blade, the quiet readiness of a people born to adapt. Far to the north, the Dominion's command post sent its first casualty report. Dozens missing, no visuals, no traces. The official explanation, environmental hazards. Elara crouched at the edge of a ridge overlooking their next objective, a shimmering tower rising above the trees. Her pulse was calm, her gaze unblinking. "Sergeant," she said quietly, "mark that structure." "Marked," Lu replied. "Orders." Elara studied the tower one last time. "They think we're hiding," she whispered again, almost to the forest itself. Then she smiled, small, cold, and certain. "They're wrong." The jungle exhaled, and the hunters moved. The rain had not stopped for 3 days. It fell in thick curtains, turning trails to rivers and the forest floor to a shifting mire. For the Dominion troops, it was misery incarnate. Their armor rusted at the joints, optics fogged, and every footstep sank into sucking mud. For Major Elara Vance and her unit, it was cover. Perfect, merciful, endless cover. At dawn, the jungle steamed like breath. Elara crouched beneath a fallen tree, studying her map, a piece of cloth marked by hand with ash and charcoal. Digital systems had failed weeks ago. Only instinct and terrain remained. The Dominion had begun to withdraw deeper into the lowlands, building new relay hubs to maintain communication with orbit. Destroy those, and they would be deaf. That was the plan. Simple, impossible, necessary. Sergeant Lu adjusted her rifle, eyes fixed on the mist. "They're changing patrol routes." "Smarter now." "Desperation breeds learning," Elara said. "Let's make sure it kills them before it helps." Imani crawled up beside her, dragging a pack of scavenged alien power cells. "We've got enough charge for 1 EMP burst. Maybe 2 if we're lucky." Elara nodded. "Good. We'll use it on the relay." Then we disappear again. The forest shifted around them, branches creaking, insects thrumming, unseen creatures calling through the rain. Every sound carried meaning. Every silence carried threat. Elara could feel the tension in her squad like a living pulse. They were leaner now, fewer than before. Some had fallen. Others had vanished, lost to the jungle or to Dominion fire. The ones who remained were sharper, stripped to their essence. Survival had refined them into something more than soldiers. A faint hum rippled through the air. Lu raised a fist. "Drone," she mouthed. They froze. Above the canopy, a faint blue light moved in slow arcs, scanning. The drone emitted a thin, metallic whine that set teeth on edge. Elara held her breath until the sound faded into distance. Only then did she signal forward movement. The squad advanced low through the ferns, silent as ghosts. Mud smeared across their faces, rifles wrapped in vines. They were indistinguishable from the forest itself. When they reached the river crossing, the current was swift and brown. Elara stepped in first, the water rising to her waist, current tugging at her belt. The rest followed. Across the river, a faint shimmer of alien metal rose above the trees, the relay hub. Through binoculars, she studied it. A tower of gleaming alloys, humming with power, surrounded by 4 sentry turrets and a dozen guards. The Dominion had fortified it heavily. Still, Elara saw weaknesses. The terrain sloped downward from the east, where runoff had eroded the soil. That would be their entry point. Imani crouched beside her. Too many for a frontal strike. Maybe we wait, hit it at night. Alara's eyes never left the tower. No, nights when they expect us. We strike at noon. Heat, glare, confusion. Lou frowned. Middle of the day, they'll be blind from the light. Their visors can't handle full-spectrum reflection from wet leaves. It's a design flaw. She paused. We use their own brilliance against them. Hours passed in stillness. The rain eased, replaced by thick humidity. When the sun broke through, it came like molten gold, turning the world into a furnace. The team moved then, slow, deliberate, merging with the shifting greens. The first kill was clean. Lou shot a guard through the eye plate from 40 meters. The second fell into a pit of sharpened bamboo, stakes disguised by leaves. The third never saw the blade that slit its throat. Each death was silent, absorbed by the forest. When the EMP charge detonated, the relay tower groaned and went dark. Energy arced up its sides like dying lightning. Dominion soldiers shouted in confusion, firing wildly into the trees. Plasma bolts seared bark and vaporized leaves, but they hit nothing living. Alara's voice cut through the chaos, calm and precise. Shift north. Use the slope. Cut them off from retreat. They moved as one, each soldier flowing through cover, flanking with fluid precision. The aliens panicked, breaking formation, their disciplined structure unraveling into chaos. Their technology betrayed them. Sensors dead, visors flickering, calm silent. For the first time, they fought blind. In the thick of it, Elara found herself facing a Dominion officer, taller, armored, claws gleaming. It lunged, strength unnatural, knocking her to the ground. Her rifle spun away. She reached for her knife, parried a strike, then rolled aside as its blade hissed into the mud. The alien snarled through its respirator, voice metallic. You cannot hide from the Dominion. Alara's hand closed around a broken branch. Who said anything about hiding? She drove it into the gap of the alien's armor, twisting until it fell still. Her breath came ragged, but her eyes were cold. When the last Dominion's signal died, the forest went eerily quiet. The tower stood blackened, half collapsed. Smoke drifted between the trees like ghosts rising. Imani approached, wiping sweat from her brow. We did it. For now. Elara nodded but didn't relax. For now isn't victory. It's survival. Lou crouched beside a fallen alien, studying its weapon. They'll send more. They always send more. They'll send better, Elara said. Smarter. They'll adapt. That's what we do, too. She looked out over the shattered tower, then to the horizon where the jungle stretched endless and unknowable. They came to hunt a species. Instead, they found a planet that remembers how to fight. Her words lingered, quiet but unshakable. As the team retreated into the green shadows, the rain began again, soft and steady. Above them, hidden in the clouds, Dominion ships shifted orbit, recalibrating, confused by data that made no sense. Heat signatures that moved like animals, sound patterns that matched wind and rain, human voices that came from nowhere and everywhere. One transmission leaked through their fractured network, a commander's voice filled with disbelief. They vanish between heartbeats. They strike without warning. The jungle itself shields them. We're not fighting soldiers. We are fighting ghosts. Elara paused upon hearing the intercepted message, rain trickling down her face. For a moment, she almost pitied them, the arrogance stripped, the fear raw. Almost. Ghosts, she whispered to the forest. No, we're the living. The wind carried her voice into the trees, and the jungle seemed to answer in kind. A low, distant growl, the heartbeat of something vast and awake. She motioned her squad forward. They moved on, unseen and unrelenting, toward whatever waited next. The jungle was on fire. Smoke rose in slow, serpentine columns, twisting through the canopy as if the earth itself were exhaling its fury. The Dominion had turned to desperation, unleashing orbital drones to burn away the forest that defied them. Trees centuries old cracked in the heat. Rivers boiled into mist. Yet through that chaos, Major Elara Vance moved with the same calm precision she had carried since the invasion began. Every step mattered. Every breath counted. Humanity's war wasn't for victory. It was for balance. Her squad crawled through the scorched underbrush, eyes stinging from the smoke. Sergeant Lou coughed quietly, covering her mouth with a soaked sleeve. "They're torching everything," she said, voice hoarse. "Trying to flush us out." "They won't find us," Elara replied, her tone clipped, steady. "Fire clears, smoke drifts. We wait for the wind, then move." Imani, dragging a half-depleted pack of explosives, gave a humorless laugh. "You sound like you've done this 100 times. "I've survived worse," Elara said, though she wasn't sure it was true. Nothing had ever felt quite like this, an entire world screaming in defense of itself. She could feel the rhythm of the jungle faltering, its pulse strained but unbroken. Humanity's fate and the forest's fate had become the same. From their vantage point, she could see the Dominion's command hub rising like a wound in the landscape, a massive structure of metal spires, humming with energy, protected by mechs and turrets. That was the heart of the invasion's ground operations. If they destroyed it, the jungle would be free. If they failed, there would be nothing left to save. She gathered her team in the shadow of a fallen tree. Their faces were streaked with ash and exhaustion, eyes hollow yet fierce. "This is the last push," she said. "Once that command hub falls, they lose planetary coordination. No reinforcements. No supplies. They'll retreat." Lou nodded. "And if we don't make it out?" Elara looked at her steadily. "Then they'll remember who did this to them." The plan was simple in theory and suicidal in practice. Imani would breach the outer wall with the remaining explosives. Lou and the others would draw fire from the flank. Elara would infiltrate the command core, planting a final charge to sever the power conduits. No second chances, no extraction, just an ending. They moved at dusk. The burned air shimmered with heat, turning everything into silhouettes. Dominion patrols scoured the area, their movements methodical but tense. The aliens were nervous now. The jungle had taught them fear. When the first explosion hit, it tore through the silence like a thunderclap. Imani's charge collapsed a turret and sent debris cascading into the compound. Dominion soldiers rushed to respond, weapons glowing. Lou's team struck from the east, cutting them down in disciplined bursts. The air filled with fire, sound, and the metallic scent of ozone. Elara slipped through the chaos, unseen. The smoke cloaked her as she climbed through a breach in the perimeter. Inside, the command hub pulsed with eerie blue light. Dominion officers shouted in their guttural tongue, trying to restore order. She moved past them like a phantom, knife in one hand, detonator in the other. A door hissed open ahead, revealing the alien commander she had seen once before through her scope, General Kareth, the architect of the invasion. His armor gleamed despite the soot, and his eyes burned with cold fury. "You are persistent," he said in broken English, voice low and distorted through his respirator. "But futile." Elara raised her weapon. "You came to conquer what you never understood." Kareth advanced, claws extending. "Your kind survives only by chance. You're chaos given form." She stepped back, circling, "And you mistake chaos for weakness." The fight was brutal and close. Kareth's strength was overwhelming, but his movements were predictable, mechanical. Elara fought with instinct, using the terrain, ducking behind consoles, forcing him into narrow spaces, striking fast, retreating faster. Sparks flew as his blade scraped against metal. He lunged again, pinning her against the wall, claws inches from her throat. "You hide behind your world," he hissed. "It cannot save you." Elara's gaze was calm, almost pitying. "It already has." She jammed the detonator into the conduit beside them and triggered the timer. Karatha's eyes widened as the energy core began to overload, filling the room with a rising hum. Elara twisted free, kicking him backward into the sparking machinery. Electricity surged through his armor. She sprinted from the chamber, smoke and light chasing her through the corridors. Outside, her team saw the flare of blue erupt from the hub center. "Elara," Lou shouted over the comm, "the core's going critical. We have to move." "Go," she ordered. "Get clear of the blast radius." They hesitated for only a second before obeying. The jungle seemed to respond, wind shifting, rain pouring harder as if to smother the coming inferno. Elara emerged from the collapsing structure just as the explosion tore through it, the blast wave rolling across the forest like a second sunrise. She was thrown into the mud, the impact stealing her breath. When she opened her eyes, the sky glowed with fractured light. Metal rained down around her, and the great Dominion tower folded inward, devoured by fire and earth alike. Silence followed, not the silence of death, but of something new being born. The jungle was already reclaiming the scorched ground, roots twisting over fallen machinery, vines curling around alien steel. Lou and Imani found her at the edge of the wreckage, battered but alive. "We did it," Imani said softly, while replacing exhaustion. Elara pushed herself to her feet, gazing at the rising smoke. "We reminded them what this planet is," she said. "It doesn't yield. It adapts." Above them, Dominion ships began to retreat, their engines cutting trails of fire into the clouds. Transmissions across the galaxy would record Earth not as a conquest, but as a forbidden zone. Elara watched until the last light vanished. "They thought we were prey," she murmured. "They'll remember us as the predators." The rain fell again, softer now, washing the ash from her hands. Around them, the jungle whispered its approval, alive and eternal. Humanity had not just survived, it had merged with the will of the wild. As darkness settled, Elara and her team faded back into the trees, leaving no footprints, no trace but the echo of a single truth carried on the wind. They were not hiding. They were hunting.